I think I'm a part of many different cultures. Chinese, because my mom is from China. She's been an American longer than she's been a Chinese citizen. And my dad, he's Irish American. And also, I am a Christian, Pentecostal. I've kind of had conflicts with racial identity. I grew up in low income projects. My grandpa Gungun, he he owned a laundromat, then he owned a restaurant. So my mom was the oldest of 6 children. Growing up, she basically had to raise her siblings. The parents weren't home, and I feel like that's a big thing, especially in the immigrant community. They work long hours. Like I know this Vietnamese store across the street, my old house, they work at least 10, maybe 12 hours a day. They don't know English, so they want their children to get education. And my mom's siblings, they're dentists, graphic designer, nurse. Education is very important. That's the way out. So from the Christian perspective, the values are, having a relationship with God, prayer, going to church, meeting, serving your community, helping people out, turn the other cheek, don't start fights and mind your own business and work with your own hands, support yourself and things like that. I would say my dominant culture is Christian because my parents come from totally different economic statuses in a way, because I would say my mom might have been middle class because of her parents, but they're totally different cultures, but they met in church, and I could see that both of them love God, and they really took their Christian walk seriously. I'm in the Christian culture. I go to church, and even to a Messianic temple. So anyways, I would say in religion, Christian, probably other religions too, mental illness, in the Bible at least, people with different cases of mental illness that we know of, they were demon possessed. So I think most Christians associate mental illness with demon possession. Some of the prophets, or many of the prophets in the Bible, Old Testament, they maybe were depressed. Like Jeremiah, he was a prophet known as a weeping prophet, and he has a book called Lamentations. And so the prophets that I have read about, they did some crazy things. They heard from God. Today, you might say that's hearing voices. But Christians don't believe that talking to God is crazy. I asked my housing counselor, he's a Christian, I heard that, King David had bipolar. That's what they say. He had really high highs, really low lows. You see it in the Psalms. Because David, his highs and lows they were connected to an event. Saul was trying to kill him. He had highs when the Ark of the Covenant, the presence of God came back to Israel. So they were related to something. Usually when you hear mental illness, it's seen as, these episodes are seen as unrelated. If I have a manic episode, be like, where is that coming from? I would argue to say that it is related to something. Maybe it's a suppression of something that happened earlier, because I feel definitely when I had my psychotic episodes, it was everything that I was suppressing was coming out. And my therapist said usually when she's a Christian, she has that perspective. She said usually in cases where a person is spiritual, their illness will reflect that. My culture's view of mental illness is mainly, I think it's seen as a negative. You're not praying enough, you're not believing God for your healing. You can't trust in man, you can't trust in man's medication to alter your mind, to control your mind. And one man who's so prominent in church, he has a mental illness, and I never thought he could. I'm like, how can you be a Christian and have mental illness? And I don't know, I was asking him all these questions because he's a Christian, he has a mental illness, he's high position of authority. I said, well, is mental illness caused by demon possession? And he's like, well, yeah, sure, in the Bible, yeah, it is, but I was like, is all mental illness caused by demon possession? He's like, well, I don't know, you can't say that it is, and you can't say that it isn't. And I feel like my illness, I felt like I was possessed. I'm going to be straight up. And then my therapist said, well, when did you come depossessed? You know, kind of trying to say, you know, was it really possession? And I said, I don't know, because I struggle with that. Was it because of the medication? Was it because I just learned to, I listened to other people like my therapist, I listened to reason, and I said, okay, this medication is helping me, and also I realized what I was thinking was not, it was really suppression of everything.